an experiment with a basketball team. One group got to practice basketball for 4 weeks. The second group got to imagine that they were really good at throwing and getting the third group just did nothing. Which group do you think got the best results when it came to game time?
So I'm gathering these were basketball players that just stopped playing basketball for 4 weeks and visualized how well they were going to do, as opposed to they've never played basketball in their lives and they visualized how good
They were all on the same basketball team. They divided
Oh,
the
I see.
basketball team into 3 groups so that they could test the theory. Actually, they were professional basketball players.
I read a similar story as a study, and I believe that the first and second group both did about equally well in the one that I read anyway.
Excellent. Thank you. Which is very interesting. And that's why the power of visualization is so important. But I have found in my life that if I release first, I create space, right? It's like having a glass of milk and you want it to be clear. If you don't dump any milk out and you just keep adding water in, it'll take a long time for it to become clear. But if you empty out the milk and then you put water in, it'll be much clearer. So that's how I see it.
It's interesting. They bring that up with the Olympics. There's a lot of visualization with the athletes, but you hardly hear it in the other sports because I guess it's so mainstream that they're not talking about visualizing things and you just see the performance on the field. But with athletes, they're always talking about that.
The visualization.
Yeah.
I remember my son was in the junior bowling provincial team. I got to meet the best provincial male player in Quebec. And he said, Christine, your son has an amazing technique, but he says technique is only 10% of the game. Isn't that interesting? He says it's 10%. The attitude is the rest, and his mindset. If you're putting pressure on your child, for example, or you're organizing something and you're putting pressure on yourself, you end up kind of sabotaging yourself, right? If you go to play bowling just to have fun, or if you go and you've got, oh my gosh, I got to be number 1, I'm in the junior provincials and blah, blah, blah. And if that's your mindset, unless you're able and you're really strong to not let it interfere with you, it can be quite a challenge. I remember having to say to the coach wasn't there, it was a replacement coach, and he was a university student. And I just said to him, I said, why don't you tell my son? He couldn't even make a strike, and he's used to strike after strike, right? I said to him, why don't you tell him to just go home if he's going to play under all that pressure? It's no use staying. The coach is like, well, I can't say that. Finally, he did go and say it. All of a sudden, my son was like, no, I can play. I've got this. And he went strike after strike, but it was too late in the game to make it up to the top 3. But it was a good lesson for him. I think it's really important that we always look at the part of our mindset in there. Yeah. I thought I'd share a study that was conducted by Dr. Biasiotto at the University of Chicago, where he split people, basketball team, into 3 groups and tested each group on how many free throws they could make. After this, he had the first group practice free throws every day for an hour. The second group just visualized themselves making free throws. The third group did nothing. After 30 days, he tested them again. The first group improved by 24%. The second group improved by 23% without touching a basketball. The third group did not improve, which was expected. In this study, they go on to say, we are not concluding being lazy and not practicing. What we're trying to drive home is imagine what you could do if you implemented both the physical practice and the visualization practice. You can apply this to sports, but you can also apply this to your everyday life. Using imagination means using your sight, using sound, using feeling. How does it feel? Can you feel yourself nice and calm? Can you see yourself and feel improving in your schoolwork? Can you see, hear, and feel yourself being a calmer parent, a calmer educator, a calmer individual, so that when you want to say something, even if you're feeling some anger, you're able to stop, snap, tap, zap to calm your amygdala down, and then show up calm and collected. What if you start practicing visualizing yourself being able to do this? I would highly recommend that you do the Snap Tap Zap at the same time as the visualization, because you are calming your amygdala down. I believe this is even more powerful. Wishing you great implementation of Snap Tap Zap. Enjoy redoing this program for your greatest good. You've got this.